Good afternoon, everyone. This is Chris of Innovative Enterprises, IMTM Worldwide Images, and IMTM Worldwide Radio. Something I need to say. And I've been trying to think about how to say it without, I guess, hurting feelings or something, but there's no real way to do it. And frankly, I don't really care. So, so here it goes. There is absolutely no reason why an individual cannot be told that they're not getting an opportunity. I'll break it down another way. There is no reason why a possible candidate for employment cannot be notified that they're not getting that employment, whether it be through telephone, email, text message, which is kind of iffy at best, depending on the industry, but it's still communication. If you sit someone down in front of you and you have an interview, strenuous discussion, party, whatever you want to call it, and there is a offer, a possible offer, inference of an offer, ideas bantered back and forth to where the other person believes that there's something there's a there, and then all of a sudden, for whatever reason that changes, there is no reason in the world why that individual cannot be told that. And there's something else. If you ask an individual, a company, an entity, whatever, to use services or to purchase a product, you have an obligation there too to either, well, let me back up. Let me stop before I get into that because that's a whole nother subject there. So let me get deeper into the first one. In all my years of hiring people, okay, in all my years from the late 90s, early 2000s till now, where I've been management or supervisor or whatever, where part of my job was to hire people to bring them on, there has never been one time, never, where I actually sat down with someone. I have to break this down. Whether it was a phone screening or an actual interview. What's the difference, Chris? The phone screening is to make a decision whether or not I want to actually sit down and interview with the person in the first place. There has never been a time I've done either of those and not let someone know I'm not going forward. I'll break it down even more. There's not been a time where I've interviewed a person, okay, and everything was great. Everything sounded good, blah, blah, blah. But then if I interviewed one more person and then I changed my mind, then I didn't go and let that other person know, hey, come across someone who's actually a little bit more qualified than you are. I'll let them know sometimes. But sometimes you interview someone who just is a great interview and you know with training, they could probably do it. But someone who actually has the direct experience, you come across them, you can't pass that up. Per the client, you can't do that. That ain't fair to the client. I found someone better. Let's get better. But what I always do in those cases, I let the person know, hey, because now that I know where you are, who you are, and everything, if something else comes up, you're going to be the first person I call. You know how many times I actually was able to do that? Because guess what? I follow up. I keep up with stuff. That's my job. Particular industry, a particular market, a particular city. They found out that they need one more. I got your one more already. We don't even have to do anything. All right, they got them. Here they are. They'll be there Monday, bright and early, 9 o'clock. Lock it in. Because I care about people. You have to care about people when you're an employer. That's how you become the best employer. Because no matter what, you actually care what happens. It's your responsibility. And the reason I'm even doing this interview, let me segue back just a little bit. It was actually something that my mom kind of triggered. It was actually some other stuff, but now that I think about it, it was this instance where I had a company contact me and they interviewed me. It was for a recruiting position. And the interview was aces. Everything was beyond a shadow of a doubt proved that I could do it. Answered all their questions, came up with other questions that she might not even have thought of, whatever. Just to prove that, yeah, I know what I'm doing. Okay. And they never hit me back. Not one time. Gave me specifics. I'm interviewing couple more people on Monday. I don't know if she said one more or a couple more. And then I'm making offers the end of next week. The end of next week came and went. At the very least, if you didn't pick me, why didn't I get an email? I don't care if you don't call me or not, but you could have given me an email because I'm waiting. I want to know. I want to see. People's lives are involved. Because if you really think you have a chance to get something, you want to hold off a little bit on anything else, especially if that's the one. That's the dream opportunity there, so to speak. You're going to hold off a little bit because you feel that there's a chance. Like Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance, right? But to not respond at all, like, would you really want to be there? If that's how they treated you, they're probably doing that with everybody. And that's what my mom basically said. She was like, well, at the end of the day, Chris, would you even really want to work there? Because they're doing that. They did it to you. They're probably doing it to others. They might be doing it to clients, for that matter. When she said that, I was like, because I eventually I did shrug it off. I was like, okay, whatever. But I wasn't thinking along those lines at that particular moment. But she's right. Why would I want to work with a company that's so blasé about simple communication? Email, first name, last name, subject, employment. Chris, decided not to go forward. Thank you for interviewing. Da da da. All these other companies have a copy paste of that. Get it in your inbox within 48 hours of you doing an application, right? But you go past the application process to actually scheduling an interview. Like there's been interviews that I've scheduled on Saturdays before. If I'm going out of my way to try to schedule an interview on a Saturday, I need some people. You see what I'm saying? The worst thing to do is if you interview someone on a Saturday, not to let them know that I'm not moving forward, but thanks for your time or whatever. And like I said, depending on the industry, you might have to send a text message. I don't know. Maybe you've interviewed 100 people. Might be kind of hard to email 100 people in a timely manner. Text them quicker, depending on the industry. I haven't done a lot of text notifications like that, though. Again, I'll either email you or call you directly. I'll take the time to do that because it's just respect. And I care about people. Sometimes people interview bad. And sometimes they need to know. I'm going to give you some suggestions here. Your interview wasn't that great. Sometimes you weren't really dressed for the interview. Like I used to interview in Atlanta, and I always say attire, very minimum, casual, business casual. You can't show up in a t-shirt. You can't show up in a halter top, mini skirt deal. Can't do it. Sorry, this ain't going to happen. If you show up otherwise, I'm declining that interview. Because if you can't follow that simple instruction right there, you're not going to do anything else. I have to eliminate Atlanta. I can't do it. I have 13 locations I got to be worried about. I can't take the time. Sorry. You had one job. And they knew it on the spot. I didn't ignore them. I just let them know, yeah, I'm not going to be able to interview you today. Sometimes I gave people chances, depending on, what the resume was looking like, maybe the phone screening or whatever. But again, if I let you know those are and have your resume with you, if like you can't have your resume and you can't be business casual and you can't be on time, that's strike one, strike two, strike three right there, right? If you sit down with someone and you give them an interview, and then you go to the point of even making them a sub offer, a direct offer, kind of an offer. How would you feel about doing this? Like if you're getting them the subtle hints that you're in the bracket and then you never contact them again, that's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. And it's unprofessional. Now, let me get back to the other thing. If you, as an individual, ask someone to utilize a service that you're providing or a product that you're offering or whatnot, you have an obligation at that point as the consumer. You really do. Whether or not there's a deposit involved, right? Or an agreement that is signed or dates placed or whatnot, you have an obligation as well to where if you change your mind, that's fine. Everybody has a right to do that, but you got to let people know because there's not always just one person involved. It wouldn't matter if there was just one person, but lots of times there's other people involved in that decision, and they need to know as well. Case in point, if it's service industries type stuff, I'm going to use photography as an example. If I'm the photographer and we agree to a date, September 1st, we're shooting. Okay? Now, the date's been agreed upon, time's been agreed upon. There's a deposit agreed upon. We know what the date is, but we can't lock it in without that deposit. If I can't find that person off the face of the earth all of a sudden, what in the world? Because see, as a professional, even though there's not a deposit yet, let's say we talked at 12, I'm not expecting that deposit at 1 o'clock. I might not get that deposit for 24 hours, but I still got to reserve that September 1st date because that's what we just talked about. We just got off the phone. We just got off the video call. We just left face-to-face meeting at Starbucks. But that can't be indefinite, though, because what if they ask for a hairstylist? What if they ask for makeup? What if they ask for a wardrobe stylist? Let's just say. Same thing. All of them have to put down September 1st on their calendar, which means for however long it takes to get that deposit, that they're declining other opportunities for that date specifically. It's unprofessional to not get back to the person and be like, oh, you know what? Something happened. I won't be able to do that date. Or something happened. My money is funny. Or something happened. I got COVID. I broke my leg. Something. But to disappear off the face of the earth, that's unprofessional. That's unprofessional. Because those other people, they got lives too. They got things they have to take care of. The worst part of that is if they did put the deposit down and then don't show up anyway. The deposit is just a deposit. Once you put the deposit down, now we're ready to work. So you mean you're going to get the photographer, wardrobe stylist, hairstylist, and makeup artist all together to do nothing for that period of time because they designated that time out to work, to provide their craft to an individual. Excuse me. That's a complete waste of time now Time wasted that none of us can get back. It's unprofessional. Why do that? If you don't want to do anything, don't do it at all. Save everybody's time. It makes no sense to do that. Why do people do it? Where do people grow up to where that's acceptable? How do they learn these things? Because these are learned things. Buying a product is a little bit more difficult to do that. Buying a cell phone, um, buying shoes. You're right there. You're at the point of sale. It's hard to pull back. Buying a cell phone. You got the cell phone there. It's all glistening. Got the contract there. You got the accessories. And all of a sudden, the person says, let me think. No, people don't typically do that. Well, I've had it happen before. I've seen it. I've seen it with me. I've seen it with other salespeople. Everything's laid out. They've gone through the whole contract sometimes. Takes a little bit of time to go through 16 pages of paperwork. You got to go through it. Got to go through the plan and all that kind of stuff. But I would have people be like, you know what? Let me. Now, car sales, of course, it's a little bit easier to get out of stuff, run out the building. But even with that, it's like, if you don't really have an intent to buy, just chill until you are, because that just takes everything out of the realm of, oh well, da da da, boom boom boom. Because once you hit the dealership, the only thing you're really doing is you gotta drive the car, because everything else you could do at home, literally. So if you come to a car dealership, they point the car out that you want, test drive, and we got to wrap this up. It's really just that simple most of the time. People make it hard, though, because they have this and they have that or whatever. Everything else can be done at home. All the things that you have questions about can be done at home, literally, because you have the internet, right? Virtual tours of cars and all that kind of good stuff. Once you get to the dealership, you're not there to walk around. Nobody wants to do that. It's hot. You see what I'm saying? You know if you got the money or not. You know you got the credit that you need to get the financing that you need. You already have the financing through your credit union or not. Salespeople don't want to haggle. Customers do that more so than not. And salespeople are glad to oblige, but push comes to shove, we're just trying to get you in the finance office, and boom, there you are, right? But once you get there, the worst thing to do would be like, you know what? I know all this work has been done and everything, but let me think about this a little bit more. Why? Why do all that? And you don't have no intentions of buying. You knew this dealership had the color, the texture of the seats, steering wheel, the rims, everything that you want is in that particular vehicle. Because you've checked, because you went and you called you might have went to 7 other dealerships before you went to that dealership. And those dealers failed. So that's the only reason you go to another dealership. There's not probably a handful of times where one person goes to one dealership to buy a car. They have been to several dealerships typically before getting to the one that actually they buy the car from. All I'm saying is, if you're not ready to buy, don't. If you're ready to buy, do. It just makes it easier. Because buying a car is cool. Buying a car is fun. A lot of times the customer have made it out to where it's terrible and all this kind of stuff and things of that nature. It's not like it's a $10 car. It's $60,000. There is a production around that. It's special. And it's the salesperson's duty to take you through all the steps, make sure that you do know everything about that car, stuff that you might not know. And even if you did, it's up to them to make sure that you are good with this car before you get to the paperwork. You don't just go and buy a car sight unseen, just like you don't buy a house sight unseen. It's a $250,000 house. You just don't say, here's a bag of money, throw me the keys. You don't do that. You go and look at the house. Go inside, outside, above side, downside the house, right? Inspections, right? All those different things that goes into purchasing a home. I don't know anybody who just buys something unless it's, they're a billionaire and they get some pictures and be like, yeah, that's good. $20 million, I got it. Boom. Okay, that's fine. You got multiple properties. What's the worst that can happen? Right? But most people don't do that. All I'm saying is there's a process and protocol for everything. And there's nothing wrong with being professional on both sides. The consumer and the person offering, the employer and the candidate. I just had to say this because it's frustrating to still see this in 2024. It's ugly, it's disappointing, it's sad really to me. I wouldn't want to work with a company that just is it's so easy to just toss you aside. It's just that easy. You know what I'm saying? Especially, and I'll say it like this: that's what your resume is for. When a potential employer sees a book of work and they hit you up, see, that's a choice right there. They didn't have to hit you up. Why didn't they hit somebody else up? Right? There's something about whatever you had going on that made it attractive for them to contact you. Right? To talk on the phone initially, phone screen, right? And then actually invite you to come and sit down and talk in front of them, in front of others for that matter. Maybe you have first, second, third interview sometimes. I've had that happen before. I had a company interview me 3 times before they hired me. But it was something there that was sticking that impressed them enough to say, yeah, we have to at least take a look at Mr. Royster, right? The worst thing you can do is leave somebody hanging. Why would you want to leave somebody hanging? Why would you want to, leave somebody hanging? Right? That's not cool. I'm sorry. 20 plus years, I've never done that to anybody. It's never happened. Sometimes it's slow because I'll just be busy. I have so many candidates and stuff like that. Might be a little bit slow, a couple days. Because usually, I'm telling you the same day. When I know that I've made some decisions, I'm hitting you up same day. Again, email. Boop, boop. Brief. Send. You're not a candidate anymore. You're not a candidate anymore. You're not a candidate anymore. And that's off a phone screen. I talk to a lot of people sometimes in a day. Sometimes I know before I get off the phone. Sometimes I have to think about it per other phone screens. Be like, yes, I won't be going forward with you in this case. And that's just the phone screen list of people. Then the people actually set up for the interview. Do you show up for your interview? Show up on time? Dress proper? Are you prepared? Or do you really want this? And then the people actually do interview that showed up, right? Sometimes I have to forward people to another person to interview. And in those cases, my list even shrinks a little bit more because now I got to send you to somebody where I'm out of the loop now. So I got to be real sure about who I'm sending at that point. And if that person decides that they don't want to move forward, guess whose job it is to let that candidate know? It's still me. It comes back to me. And I'm going to let them know. Hey, Joe. Hey, Fred. Hey, Nancy. I just want everybody to be obligated to just be professional. That's the job. When you're trying to obtain talent, that's the job. You're trying to do business, that's the job. On both sides, it's the job to be professional. It's hard to be professional. It is. I understand that, but it's not an excuse to not be professional in all cases, in all aspects. Because otherwise, you know what's happening? It's a big waste of time. And anybody who knows me personally, I hate wasting time. That's my one pet peeve, really, is wasting time. Because again, I always tell people this, until I build a time machine, I can't get none of that time back. And I hate that feeling. I hate the thought. I hate the thought that I've wasted time for no reason. I hate that. Because it's not necessary. It's avoidable. So one more time. If you know you're not moving forward with something, let somebody know. If you change your mind, circumstances beyond your control have happened, you get sick, baby gets ill, family member, you got to go take care of them. You don't have to be detailed. I've had some people hit me up. I've hired people and then they let me know that, hey, Chris, something is happening. They let me know. They don't just fall off the face of the earth and I'm expecting them to show up for training and stuff like that. Want to know why? Because I was professional with them in the first place. Now, yeah, I do have a contingent of people who fall off the face of the earth and they weren't professional, but more so than not, most will let me know if something happens and they can't go forward. Because guess what? There's always a second chance. I'll keep them in mind just because they did that. To where if circumstances change, guess what? I don't have to do no work. Nancy says she's available again. I'm putting her on. You you deserve that. If you're a candidate, you deserve that. If you're the employer, you deserve that. To be professional. And again, if you're trying to obtain some kind of service or a product as a consumer, you have an obligation to be professional. Because that professional that you're trying to hire or buy from, they're going to be professional for you. So you should be professional to them. It's part of the it's part of the it's part of it. So I don't know if anybody will appreciate this or not, but again, I was going to say it no matter what. I think it needed to be heard in this particular case. And again, it's really only because my mom brought it to my attention and made me be reminded of it. And I figured, well, because of some other things that have also occurred, I can just plug it all in there at once. Hopefully, everybody has a good rest of the weekend. If you want, you can always go and visit IMTM Worldwide Images.com, my photography, innovativeenterprises.com, my business consulting. That's one E in the middle of that, by the way, is Innovative Enterprises with one E, one word. And go check that out. The Women in Business show is coming back. I'm hoping to have my first interview before September. Hopefully, we'll see. I'm working on it. So look out for that. And of course, around the ATL, my sports show is going strong still. Got some new episodes coming up. But again, just be professional. I just don't think it's that hard to be professional in all the things that you do every day. It just makes things better for everybody. Makes it easier, just makes it more pleasant. It just makes things better. Y'all take care. Peace.